I am confused to the point that I'm interested in this glass.
That's exactly how I feel right now. I am really confused at what's going on.
I don't, and it's not in a bad way. I'm just like, I don't like what is happening.
Unexpected. What is up?
Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies.
4 guys in the Scotch journey to help you with your next Scotch purchase. What do we have here?
It is Scotch.
New Scotch.
New Scotch from a new distillery.
What? Is it a special Scotch?
Oh, all Scotch is special in my heart, Sean.
I like that idea.
Why did I even bother asking?
It's actually, I'm excited to get into a new Scotch. This is a new distillery. This is actually their first core range offering. It's Lochlea. It is a Lowlands Scotch out of, let me butcher this. It's Ayrshire, A-Y-R Shire.
You're going to get butchered in the comments.
Yeah, I screwed that up. Aquavitae, correct me. But it is basically...
You got to crunch it together more. Ayrshire?
Very, very southwest coastline of Scotland. Pretty close to being an English whiskey.
Oh, wow.
But they do have... they've got, I want to say, about 4 bottles out now. The distillery got its licensure in 2014. Took them a few years to,
as expected,
to convert the farm into a distillery. I guess that takes a wee bit of time, and then to lay some Scotch down, if you will. So this is their first core range. They did come out with an inaugural release and all that kind of good stuff, but this is the one that I think is the foundation of what they plan to produce. So it's been out for I don't know, a couple, maybe 6 months or so. Okay. It came out in 2022. But anyway, the ABV on this guy is 46.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is this one easy to get, or is this kind of unique?
I'd say it's hard for me to answer it. I went into one of our specialty liquor stores here in Indianapolis, Storied Company. I want to give a shout out to them because they're really doing good stuff. And Dennis there asked me, he's like, "Why aren't you guys doing these?" And he held it up, and I'm like, "We are now. How about that? Put it on the shelf. We're taking that home." So I've never tasted it. I didn't try a sample at his bar, at his liquor store.
Fresh.
But he had two bottlings. He had this one and a different one, and he point blank said, "This is the one you guys need to review because this is the core offering." And the other one was more of a special edition. So
probably fairly small quantity, small volume at this point.
Yeah, although the fact that it's core, I think they expect it. It should be in stock. What else can I say about?
Drew's giving a face, man. I don't even know.
It's a lowland whiskey, so remember that. One thing I did read about the distillery or the distillate is that they're taking high narrow cuts, and I need you to tell me what to expect.
So typically when you do that, you remove a lot of the more aggressive flavors that come in the heads and tails. So some of the off flavors, some of the biscuit, some of those things you may lose a little bit. Some of the baby vomit, some of the
new make, if you will. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Typically, the closer you're cut, the higher the ABV, the more pure neutral spirit you get. Almost.
They were saying lighter.
Pure neutral spirit.
So let's cut to the chase and get to the nose. And so get good in there, boys. I'm going to talk about it. This is new make butterscotch to me.
Okay, I can see some young nose in there.
See, it's got a.
I get to get past that.
It's got a little bit of a funky note on there.
I think I paid $79.95 for it.
Did you say it's a Lowland?
Yeah.
So I saw this had. They aged it in bourbon, sherry casks, which I'm not getting any sherry on the nose at all. STR casks. Okay. This is non-chill filtered and no color added.
Okay. Well, they can get away with that at 46% ABV. Maybe that's why it's so light, even though it's sherry.
So the color is pretty dark, though. I mean, it's not like it's.
I'm getting sauerkraut.
I do like sauerkraut. I'm not getting that, but I honestly think
I can see where you're saying that.
The first nose, I definitely got Drew's notes on it, but I'm giving it some time, and it's changing already.
It's evolving.
Well, and coat your glass because it allows more of that flavor to.
I mean,
it's got sweet notes in there too. I get your butterscotch, but there's also like a sour note.
There's nectarine in there too, if you dig for it.
See, I'm not getting and that initial waft. Maybe it was a glass, maybe it was the water that had in it before it, but.
Ooh, okay. I'm going in, boys.
All right, let's go.
I like the palate. Very approachable.
Light malt up front.
Yeah.
Some nice sweet notes in there.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
I'm getting your butterscotch on the
Biscuit?
finish too.
Biscuits and things.
You said we weren't going to get biscuits.
Well, maybe they cut just
It's
enough
got-
to get the biscuit flavor. But
It's
got
kind
like-
of thin.
Biscuits and honey.
after the biscuit, before the baby
Honey
vomit.
for sure.
It's a narrow cut there.
I'm not getting sauerkraut on the palate. That's okay.
It doesn't
I
have
like sauerkraut.
This is really tasty.
It doesn't relate to the nose at all.
No. Well,
It is
Except
now.
for
now
the
let's
honey.
go
maybe.
back. So after you've tasted it, let's go back and
So
revisit
it is very sweet on the palate. I will give you that. It was sweeter than I anticipated.
See,
Quick finish too.
after the sip, the nose is diminished.
Yeah, it's not nearly as new make-ish.
And I'm not getting much, but the palate had great flavor in there.
It's a unique smell that I've not had for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm getting like wet sawdust now after my first palate.
Sure.
I was getting a little bit more of like a green hay, cut green hay note on the nose before I tasted it. But now that the nose is a little bit more wet sawdusty, if you will. The palate was great. And I'm not saying the nose is bad. I'm just saying they're disjointed.
I am confused to the point that I'm interested in this glass.
That's exactly how I feel right now. I am really confused at what's going on.
I don't, and it's not in a bad way. I'm just like, I don't like what is happening.
Unexpected.
Sean, I feel like you're like, could you turn the house lights up? I want to see if she's really good looking or not.
I don't.
Yeah,
Right.
So the
I
second
mean, she
sip,
bought me a drink.
the second
Buy you
sip,
a drink.
the second sip, I had less of the those light apples and pears and more of the biscuit and some of that sour coming through. I think that's new make or it's young whiskey, which that's what you expect. But it's just, yeah, it is getting a little bit confusing.
I can see why you said pear too. By the way, that's a good fruit to pull out.
See, the more I drink it, the more I'm getting fruit and honey,
See, I'm getting maltiness on the nose now. Weird.
and it's
Okay, water helps. in this.
really good.
Does it?
Yeah.
I now that the sauerkraut note has kind of gone away, I'm actually like, the more I drink this, the more I'm like, yeah, I'd probably pour myself a second glass. It's a very easy to drink whiskey.
Very.
Like, it goes down super easy. I enjoy the sweet, and it's a lingering a little bit more now on like the third sip, but it's all just honey, you know. I mean, so it's not like a strong flavor.
I agree. It's I don't want to say confusing. It just hasn't made up its mind to me yet.
I think it's just young.
Yeah.
is
I think it's young, and I think you guys are being kind to it. I think it's this is going to sound bad. It's tolerable for me. It's not.
Tolerable.
It's not something that you pour me a glass. Hey, glass of Scotch whiskey. Yeah, sounds great. What is this? This is Scotch. What? This is not Scotch to me right out of the gate. I can see why it's got some butter elements to it. It's got the butterscotch. I don't know. I'm not sure about the biscuit, but that's really how I'm getting it. It does have a sweet finish, but other than that, I'm not getting a whole lot. I'm really not. I'm not getting. It's not wowing me at all.
Yeah, I would agree. This is not my wheelhouse whiskey. Being that it's so light, the problem with those narrow cuts is that you end up with new make spirit with very little of those barley
Personality.
flavors. Yeah, you lose some of that personality. So you have to have really good barrels from there going forward. And you also lose, and depending on the still shape, you would lose some of those floral flavors, which I'm not getting a lot of floral in here either.
No.
So
Well, let me ask you this though. All right, so it's young. You realize that. Does that discourage you about this distillery? Or, I mean, they've been open. They opened their doors in 2014. I don't think they even laid any freaking distillate down until 2018, 2019. Give this another 6 years.
Well,
Another
yeah,
8 years?
absolutely. I think they're onto something. I just think it needs time, and maybe more maturation options.
I don't find anything off-putting about this whatsoever. And if you guys poured me a glass, I would totally put it away. I'm going to drink this one for sure. But I agree with you guys. There's not a lot of complexity, but I don't think it's old enough to have that.
Okay, so I'll start this off. So 1 to 4, the rating system, right? I'm going to start off just by throwing out a 2. And I don't want people to say, oh, 2, that must suck. 2's right down the middle. I'm giving it a 2 because I taste that age and on the palate. It really just comes off as being young, and I want more out of it. I think there's more if it spent more time. I'm not really crazy about the green hayish grass note I get on the nose. It's not off-putting. Have I smelt that in Scotch before? Absolutely. I'm sure there'll be another one down the road. But I think that's because of where this whiskey is and its youth, and that's fine. I'm excited about what they're doing. I'm excited about Lowland Scotches, so keep going, Lochlea. I think two's a fair enough right down the middle start for you guys, and this is your first core range. You know, $79, is that what I said? Yeah. For we're gonna call it a 4-year-old whiskey. I mean, dang, you know, that's pretty salty. I mean, I guess it's, you know,
depends.
It's commensurate with the bourbon whiskeys anymore, but I guess I want more, knowing what I can get for $80 in the Scotch market.
Yep.
I'm going to go elsewhere. So I'm going to give it a solid 2 and give them a thumbs up and thank them for what they're doing and keep my eye out for what they're doing next.
Fair enough.
Let me go.
Sure.
Whoever.
Yeah, I'll go with this. So let me talk through briefly the key components I'm getting. The barley flavor is really coming through after we've tasted it and watered it and things like that. So what I see here is a whiskey that has pretty good distillate. The distillate is not off. It's not angry. It's not elbows. It's not, you know, it's not bad in any way. It's just young, but it's got good barley flavor. And I think if I would make a recommendation to Lochlea, work on your barrels. Get some good, strong barrel flavors. But that's because that's my profile. If you want a pure single malt bourbon, single malt whiskey, this is really a clean whiskey. And so, while not my wheelhouse, I got to give it a 2 because it's got potential, but it's not there yet. There's again nothing wrong with it, but it's not my wheelhouse and needs more work.
Yep. Okay.
I'll go so I can be bad cop and you be good cop. I'm not excited about this. This is pretty bland to me. I don't think it's a horrible whiskey Scotch. I just think it's just too soon. I think there's options to your point, I think there's some barrel options there. I'm getting one-dimensional, mostly somewhat wood and some honey. That's about all I'm getting. And the fact of the matter is, you mentioned at the very beginning the face I made. I mean, that's not.
Don't
a lie.
you cut that out? By the way,
we'll need to put that back in.
It's right here.
Yeah.
That tells me a lot. First impression, right? I think at the end of the day, we work through it. We're Scotch dummies, but we're experts to some degree, and I think we know what good stuff is. I feel like this needs some time, needs to do some more things. Yep. I'm going to be nice and give it a 2. I think it's
give it your real honest.
No, I think a 2 is fair because I know what they're doing. I appreciate what they're doing. I appreciate they're trying to come out with something. I know that there's a lot of time and energy into this, so it's a 2. I've had worse for sure, but
no, for sure.
But this is definitely new, and I'm looking forward to. They have more, right? This is just the beginning.
They do. They've got other releases, but they're all limited, like their inaugural release, and who knows if those bottles are even available anymore. This is the first core range.
I would
bottling.
love to try some of those to figure out like how much of the core is affecting those. Are we seeing some kind of commonality? It's my first impression. Needs some work. So I'm going to give it a 2.
And just to a couple of points that we missed before you finish this out, the production manager, the production director, he comes from Lefroy, right? The guy in years at Lefroy. So it's not like this guy just tripped into, hey, you want me to run a distillery? No, I'm pretty sure he's got him heading in the right direction. And another historical note is the town that I butchered, Ayrshire. That's where Robert Burns, like, that was his formative years. It's really known for him and him working on his farm there. I don't think it was the same.
That was 250 years ago.
Didn't
but okay.
Didn't he have to give up farming because he was bad at it?
He was terrible at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're pretty proud of it. So.
All right. So I will say when I think about this, it is their first core range bottle. And so it's their entry level. And as their stock ages, they'll probably release more aged varieties. So when I'm thinking about other core range bottlings, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, the entry level is generally usually fairly unidimensional.
Benign,
It's
yeah.
usually young. It's usually a very tame entry-level bottle, right? And I think that they've kind of hit the nail on the head with that. Like, there's nothing at all off-putting about this glass at all. It is an easy-to-drink glass. I could sit and probably put down 2 or 3 of these glasses and not really think too much about it.
I'd do it with you.
Is it going to catch my attention, though? No. I mean, if I'm really paying attention to the glass, it's got some really nice fruit notes and nice honeys, but it doesn't have depth and complexity. But it's 4 years old, and so I don't really expect it to. So I think it's a good entry-level bottle for this distillery. I would be interested to try a 10 or 12-year-old
For sure.
When they can.
barrel when they get to that point. And I really enjoy the whiskey itself. It's very, they're putting down good stock. So, I mean, there's some entry levels that I try and I'm like, oh, well, I don't need any more of that particular
That's never gonna get
distillery,
better.
right? I can think of 2 distilleries right off the top of my head that I'm like, nope, I'm good. If that's what you're pouring, I'm going to go have some water, right? But for me, this one, I think that they're headed in a good direction. They're putting down good stock, and so I'm anxious to see what they do. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Good for you.
I just, I found some things in here that were unique and interesting, and I'd encourage them to do more. So there you go, 2.5 for me.
3 2s and a 2.5, 217, 2165.
Niner, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
I don't know. You tell me.
6.125.
There you go. Did you hear
That's
that?
math. All right.
It's difficult. So Lochlea,
Good
first
on ya.
Our Barley, first core range from this distillery. Keep your eye out for them on your local shelves. If you see it, maybe you get it. Maybe you wait until they come out with another one.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Cheers,
man.
fellas.
Cheers.
Awesome, guys.